Could do a story tonight. Good evening, everybody. Um, we had baseball practice tonight. My son had a tournament recently over the weekend, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They ended up coming in third in the tournament. They did pretty good. There was two teams that are fairly close to here. They're both from the same town, actually. Um, they're probably going to be undefeated this year. My son's team, they have 2 losses now and I think 5 wins. Another game Friday, if it doesn't rain. Story tonight, hold on. Story tonight is going to be a Navy story. On board the USS John F. Kennedy, CV-67. I had just gotten there. Now I had to meet the ship in the Atlantic. So I flew into Spain and then to a small island called La Jace, which is right outside of Spain, and then flew on to the Kennedy and landed on the deck. And that by itself was pretty intimidating, and then obviously just being on the ship was pretty intimidating. But when I got there, there was like ditto copied papers up on all the bulkheads of this guy, Fireman Mitchel. And he had been missing for, at that time, it was probably just a couple of days, maybe a week or so. And this had went on pretty much for about 2 months. Every couple of days, somebody would see Fireman Mitchel wherever, who's sneaking him food, who saw him somewhere. No one ever really said anything other than they just saw him. And like I said, this went on for probably 2 to 3 months. Finally, the captain came on the 1MC, which is a speaker system, and said, everyone is going to stop working. We are not going to eat. We are not going to conduct any kind of business. We are going to find Fireman Mitchel. Lo and behold, the sightings of Fireman Mitchel pretty much stopped at that point. Fireman Mitchel was found, not on the boat. Now, mind you, an aircraft carrier, CV-67, including the squadron and all the crew, there's 5,500 guys. That's how many guys were on that ship. And Fireman Mitchel put himself in a mailbag and got onto a mail cod. A cod is a plane. Pretty much the exact same plane that I flew onto the ship when I first got there. They found Fireman Mitchel on the beach in Virginia Beach. Now, mind you, my ship at the time was in the Mediterranean, possibly the Dead Sea. Like, we were in and around Cyprus, somewhere that general area. Well, this guy put himself in a bag, got on a mail cod, was flown to Spain without the knowledge of anyone knowing he was on the boat other than whoever snuck him on there. Bought a plane ticket in Spain to fly to Virginia, and they found him 2 months after he was gone, or 3 months after he was gone, rather, on the beach, drinking beer with 2 girls. Needless to say, Fireman Mitchel was living La Vida Loca. I don't truly know whatever came of it because I never met the man. I never saw him other than pictures. But I'm 100% certain that he was court-martialed as a deserter. Probably did some time in Leavenworth. And obviously dishonorably discharged. But one of those stories that always just kind of stuck out of my head. I never met this guy, never knew anything of him other than he was missing. And for 2 to 3 months on the ship, I heard about this man more than anything else. Every day the captain would come on the 1MC. He would do the morning roll call. He would give you the weather in Brindisi. And for the longest time, I never even knew where Brindisi was. Never even knew if it was an island, whatever it was. But it was always like 75, 80 degrees, sunny with a nice warm breeze. So the weather in Brindisi, by the way, today is 65 and kind of overcasted. But when we were underway, which is not in port, when you're out floating around, making big phone cords across the Atlantic or in the Mediterranean, the smoking lamp was always lit. The only time it was never lit was when you were taking on fuel. When you would take on fuel, the smoking lamp is out. I never knew what happened to Fireman Mitchel, but interesting story, I guess. Just one of those things that I just kind of never ever forgot. Just kind of an odd story because like I said, I never met the guy, but he's forever ingrained in my head. Well, that's just my story for tonight. Remember your Second Amendment, guys. It protects all of your other rights. Block 26 today, just in case any bears want to come up to the back porch. Have a blessed night.